What is up, YouTube? Johnny here again today, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about a very specific topic: brakes. Now, when we first purchase a car, we want to go ahead and upgrade power. Either we do a cold air intake, we do headers, exhaust, just to get a little bit more power. But sometimes we neglect our brake system, our suspension, and our tires. Those are some of the most important things that you need if you're going to be driving your car fast to be safe. That's what we need to be safe, because of the fact that if your car has more power than it has stopping power, it can get very dangerous because your brake distance is going to be ridiculously bad, and this can cause accidents. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about brakes. So brakes for the FRS can get pretty pricey. I've seen just the front brake system range anywhere from like $1,500 to $3,000 for just the front brakes. And those are like different various models of Brembos. Now we have all kinds of other companies that also, do aftermarket brakes for our cars. But specifically, Brembo likes to make things for the OEM. Most of the OEM companies run Brembos. Now, when looking to upgrade the brake system for my FRS, I looked at various aftermarket companies, and the prices vary anywhere from like $1,500 to $3,000 for just the front set of brakes. So if you find them a little bit cheaper than that, they're not going to have a stainless steel brake lines and other little things that usually come with a full brake kit. But that being said, brakes are not cheap. They can get very pricey. Obviously, for $3,000 or anything around that area, you can go ahead and buy a turbo or a supercharger. So sometimes you think in your head, I'd rather just go with power. But what we need is to add safety at the same time of adding power. So I decided to go with Brembos because of the fact that most OEM companies run Brembos in their updated, their upgraded spec cars, and I just like Brembos. But I'm not sponsored, so I can't afford those $3,000 Brembos. So I decided to make a Brembo kit to piece it all together from different various cars from OEM manufacturers to get brakes on a budget. First thing you're gonna need are the brackets for the Brembos, and we're gonna get those from CTSV Here's the bracket. It also comes with some spacers for the rotors, just to make sure that they're centered properly, and some bolts to go ahead and bolt it all up. Another thing that comes with it is this tapper, so we can go ahead and tap into our old hub or our factory hub, so we can go ahead and get these mounted up. The next thing you're gonna need are the actual Brembo calipers themselves. So we're gonna go ahead and get these from a 2013 to a 2015 Cadillac ATS-V, and this is how they look. You guys go ahead and look at the front. It says Cadillac and Brembo's right underneath it. So you're gonna need a left and a right. And the reason for this is the fact that the bleeder needs to be on the top part of the caliper when installed. That way when we go ahead and bleed our brakes, there's going to be no air pockets in them. So these both have two different part numbers, so the prices are actually a little bit different, but they're both around $100 a caliper. So when you think back and look at how much Brembo brakes actually cost, $100 is nothing. But these are OEM quality Brembos. So let's go ahead and see what's next. The next thing you're going to need are your actual rotors. These are made to fit a 2004 WRX STI, and the reason for that is because the bolt pattern is 5x100, so this is the same exact bolt pattern as our FRS. These are made by a company called Centric, which is basically the same as StopTech. They're just like parent companies. I went ahead and got the slotted ones just because that's a personal preference of mine. I've had the drilled ones, and under high heat and temperature, obviously all that stuff when you're racing, they tend to crack, so I didn't want to deal with that issue, but I wanted to have the extra cooling factor that the slotted comes with. So these are the rotors. They are decently heavy. Obviously they're going to be much bigger than the ones on our FRS. These run you around $110 for the right one, and I think the left one cost me $108. So it's not that bad, thinking back to the brake system. $100 for the calipers, $100 for the rotors themselves, that's already $400 in just the main components. Not to mention the actual brackets, which run you around $220. So they were around 600 bucks, but just because of the fact that I went with slotted, if you get the simple plain ones, they're actually much cheaper. I think they're like $70 around there. So let's go ahead and move on to the next part. The next pieces we're gonna need for the brake system are our stainless steel brake lines. Now these aren't really necessary. You can go ahead and run your OEM ones, but it is recommended to upgrade them just because these are gonna be a huge factor in the way your pedal feels. So here they are. StopTech stainless steel braided brake lines. These are both a front and a rear setup, so I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade the rear ones while I'm at it, since I'm gonna be changing the fluid anyways. The front ones run you around $55 and the rear ones 50 bucks. So that's about another $100 added on top of it, which isn't really necessary. You can go ahead and keep your stock ones, but since we're in the process of upgrading all this stuff, I might as well just do it at the same time. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing we're gonna need. The next part you're gonna need are the brake pads. I decided to go ahead and get some high quality brake pads, which are these Hawk Performance HPS high performance street brakes. These cost me $90. So if you wanted to go with a cheaper option, if you get some basic AC Delco brake pads, they're like 35 bucks. So they're really cheap if you want to go that route. But I decided, since I'm going to go ahead and upgrade the brake system, I might as well upgrade the pads just to have a better brake feel and, you know, shorten our stopping distance. Let me go ahead and show you guys how they look inside. They're your traditional Brembo style brake pads. These are actually from a 2004 to 2007 CTS-V. So these are going to fit perfectly fine with the ATS-V brake calipers. Let's go ahead and continue on to the next part we're going to need. So to go ahead and hold those brake pads inside of our brake calipers, you're going to need to go ahead and order this right here. So what this is an AC Delco brake caliper kit. So this is going to have all the little pieces to be able to hold the brake pads onto the calipers. Go ahead and open this. So these little rods and on these little plates right here are actually going to hold your brake pads in place where the Brembos are at. So this is something that you're really going to need. Fortunately, they're not expensive at all. This is like 18 bucks, an actual OEM quality part. So let's go on to the next part. Since we're going to go ahead and change our brake lines, we're going to be losing a lot of fluid. So to replace it, if we're going to go ahead and replace it anyways, I decided to just go ahead and upgrade it at the same time. Our cars originally come with .3, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade it to .4, which has a higher boiling point. So we're going to be using this right here. It's a Type 200 racing brake fluid. I went ahead and ordered 2 of these because we're going to go ahead and replace the whole fluids. These run you around 18 bucks each, so 2 of them should be enough to go ahead and replace fully our brake fluid. Last but not least, you're going to need one of these. This is a Milwaukee 9/16 drill bit. So the reason we need one of these is because to put the brackets on the bottom part, we're going to go ahead and tap it, and on the top one we need to go ahead and drill it because of the fact that these run a bigger bolt. Our stock ones have a smaller bolt, so we need to go ahead and make the hole bigger. That's why we need one of these. Got this for around 10 bucks, which is actually a really great deal, because if you go to your average like Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever hardware store you have, one drill bit about this size can be really expensive. So these are all the parts that we're gonna need to make this budget brake system. Now you may be thinking to yourself, but Johnny, why don't you spend a little bit more money and get a full kit already that comes with 2-piece rotors and it comes with everything that you need? The reason why I decided to do this budget build is not only because of the fact that it's cheaper when you first buy it, it's also a lot cheaper to maintain. Now why do I say that? Well, for one, the brake pads, you can get any type of brake pad you want for a CTS-V, and you can even get the basic ones if you're running a little low on money, and they're gonna be 35 bucks. So maintenance on this is actually gonna be relatively cheap. Your rotors, when they're slaughtered or drilled, most of the time, most companies will not turn them for you. And what that means is that they're gonna get worn down and you're gonna need to replace them. So if you need to replace 2-piece rotors, sometimes they can be pretty expensive. But with these, if I need to replace them, it's just $100 each. Or I can just go ahead and get the simple ones and they're $70 each. So this is a brake system that can be easily maintained. It's gonna last you just as much as OEM, and all the parts are accessible. So you can literally go down to your local Cadillac dealer or your local Chevy dealer, and you can go ahead and buy all these parts straight off the shelf without having to wait for them. We're gonna go ahead and end this video here, guys. I will try to make a video on this later installing it, but unfortunately, as you guys know, the shop is not functioning right now. All my parts are in storage, all my tools, everything that I need to go ahead and work on my car is not possible to do right now. So if you guys are interested in purchasing this kit for yourself, even if you decide to go with the slaughtered and drilled ones and stuff like that, I'm gonna go ahead and put all of the parts descriptions and links to go, to Amazon to go purchase this yourself. So as always, you guys have a great day.